I'm a wife, I'm a counselor, I'm a provider, I'm a husband, I'm a mother, I'm a father. But who are you really? Who are you really? What happens when that role of who am I, of that role of being the wife is over, or the children leave the nest, and there's a pain inside the heart, and all of a sudden you're not the mother anymore, the active mother. Or your career that you really like, or that you didn't like, whatever it is, it's over. Who am I? So, may I tell you a little bit about my story? It's a different story than what you've heard. When I was a little girl, my mother kept telling me, you're a pretty little girl, you're beautiful. I came from beauty queens. My mother was Miss Newark 1936. Both of my grandmothers were models. So I took on the identity that I was a beautiful little girl. And that's who I thought I was, that's who I identified with. I became a beauty queen. And then some stuff happened in my life which separated me from that feeling of worthiness, because all of a sudden, when my sister came around, I didn't get that love and attention. All of a sudden, jealousy started showing up, and anger, and resentment. And that little hello, that little happy girl, all of a sudden turned to a dark little girl. And I didn't have that connection to that feeling of love. Then I kept trying to find that in other parts of my world, my career, husband or two, and then I was in Hollywood, and I was working with all the beautiful stars as a makeup artist in a room filled with mirrors. And beauty was identified with me. So as I got older, it's like, wait a minute. As I grew, and as I started to awaken up spiritually, I realized, wait a minute, who am I? I'm not this. Because that is a painful road to identify with something outside of ourselves. So I discovered through my prayers and meditation and lots of studies that I am not my body or my mind or what I look like. I am pure spirit. I'm a spiritual being. You are a pure spirit. You are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we get to play different roles in our life. And when we attach ourselves to these roles, that's when we have some real identity issues. So, what I'm wondering is, the problem is, does anybody here have this problem where all of a sudden you identify with something and then it goes away? Mm-hmm. Anybody have that? Yeah? Yeah. Did it ever make you stop to think, wait a minute, what's going on here? I thought it was that, now I'm this. Right. So, the way that I found to remember who I was, to really start doing some self-inquiry, start asking questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? So this is some deep stuff. I mean, you guys have been on the road for a while in this practice. You're here in Unity. So you're asking these questions, right? Yeah, and I keep asking them. Somebody said the quality of your life depends upon the quality of the questions that you ask. So who am I and why am I here? What happens and what can I do? Am I here just to get more stuff and to fill up maybe empty holes, black holes inside of me? Right? Or am I here to really connect and know that I am love? All the sages say we're love. But what kind of love is that? It's an eternal love. Right? The love that you feel in your heart, not your head. Because the head tells you, I'm this, I'm that. So how do we get to who we are? We've got to take the long journey from our head to our heart. How do we do that? Meditation. Coming here weekly, connecting to others who think the same way. Reading books. Nature. Right? Surfing. Jumping in the water, getting barefoot, feeling the earth, connecting to something deep. Kind of brings us home, yeah? So when we're going through this, roles, getting and releasing, getting and releasing. Prayer is a very powerful tool to remember who we are. Every time we say prayer, we affirm the truth of who we are and who we're not, right? We're taught prayer to identify there's one power, one life, one God, and I'm one with that. And this God is good, and all needs are met, right? We're speaking of the needs of the quality of life. Everything's taken care of when we surrender. So what stops us from remembering that we're this? Could it be our mind and judgment? Judgment, they did it to me. The blame game, the victim game. They're wrong, I'm right. That takes us right to our head and cuts off any kind of love there is. Right? The judgment game. And then the guilt shows up. When you find out maybe they weren't as bad and you really treated them badly, and you start feeling guilty, then you start not feeling good about yourself, you judge yourself, right? I shouldn't have done that. Remorse, regret, resentment. All these emotions get in our body, mind, and it clogs, it just stops that divine flow. And it really stops us from getting to our heart. And when we judge others, we end up judging ourselves because we are one. And just, what would happen if this is one big mirror? And every time I see someone who reflects a part of me that I don't like, and I make them bad and wrong, and I push away. What happens if I really say, wait a minute, they're reflecting a part of me that I haven't owned yet. You guys get what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. All right. Because this is the stuff that stops us from going deep and connecting to our heart and remembering who we are. So the problem is, how do we deal with these judgments? They come up pretty much, every day. We have like thousands of thoughts, right? And they say to self-know and self-remember. Know who I am. I am love. I am love in action. I am peace. I am joy. Self-knowing. And then there's self-remembering. Remembering that. When you stub your toe, instead of swearing, go, oh, well, let me see, next time I'll remember that thing's over there. I've been guilty of that. I don't know, anybody else guilty of, like, losing it when something happens, right? Yeah. Yeah. Quick story. When I was practicing, I was very active at Agape as a spiritual practitioner. And in my full activity, I was 15, 20 hours a week working with the kids and doing visionings and very hands-on. And something happened, immediately I would go to prayer. So one moment, I made a bad left turn, saw the truck coming. I immediately went into prayer for that other person first before it hit me. That's because I was trained. I was trained, I was prayed up, as they say, right? And I walked out of an accident where I totaled my car, and they say it was a pure miracle. I prayed for him first, and then I remembered to pray for me. And when I did, I heard the angels sing. My car was camp. But I prayed for him first, because I practiced every day prayer. I was in it, I was submerged in it. And then, fast forward, and I'm healthy, I'm strong, and healed. Thank you, God. A few years later, I'm teaching Reiki. I'm teaching Reiki all over the country. I'm prayed up constantly, praying up, because I got to stay attuned and teach the Reiki. Help people, turn on that light switch to remember that they're unconditional love. To wake up to that. And then I took a break. Married a man, started drinking a little wine. I took a break, right? They say, once you get to a certain place, you won't slip back. Well, I slipped back. And so I get up in the middle of the night, and I get up and I literally stub my toe. And I swore. And I go, oh, wait a minute, Reiki, right? 5 minutes after the swearing tantrum. And at that moment, put my hand on it, but it was too late. My first reaction was anger. Blame. That did it to me. So oddly enough, how life has it, that reminded me, you better go back to your Reiki, you better go back to your prayer. So I started doing that. Well, 2 nights later, I get up and stub the other toe. I'm telling you, it's a true story. And this time, I immediately went to Reiki, and I did prayer. Because I remember, wake up, Dale, wake up. There's a little whisper, sometimes you get hit with the truck. But you've had these experiences, wake up. So I remembered and I did Reiki and prayer right away. Thank you, God, I'm awake now. Well, that one toe, my right toe, turned black. And I almost lost a nail. It was black for a whole year to remind me, you stay awake, girl. And my other toe hurt for a day, but no black, no bruise. The power of staying awake, doing your work every day, praying, meditating. When you see somebody, see an ambulance, you send light to them, you send prayer. Divine order and harmony, right here, right now, for them. Divine order and harmony. For your family, your friends, when you do your prayers, divine order and harmony. When I get in the car, I fill myself with light, divine order and harmony. Peace, safety in front of me, to the side of me, behind me. And I say that because I used to be the worst driver on the planet. Road rage, I could write a book about it. But I have too many things that I can write about that stuff. But I'm telling you, staying prayed up, staying connected is a way to remember, because you know what that is? That's identifying with who you really are. You are the love. You are the light. You are made in the image and likeness of the one who sent you. You are a divine emanation of the Most High, here now, sitting on holy ground, standing on holy ground. That's who you are. And we gotta forgive ourselves. When we forget, I've forgotten more times than I wish to ever recall. You know. And how do you forgive yourself? How did I get to forgive my mother for all the things that, well, number one, I had to forgive her. You know, I had to do a lot of work to forgive her. I'm talking about a lot of therapy. A lot of therapy. And a lot of deep work on myself, saying, okay, let me see. If I get this idea that if we chose our parents, if I chose my mother and I chose my father, if I was conscious enough as a spirit, saying, I'm going to choose my parents to learn stuff, to grow, to remember that I am not that, but I am love. Who am I going to pick that's going to give me the best lesson for that? I picked my mother. She was the best teacher in the planet, in the universe for me. I love you, Mama. God bless her. She taught me well. Most of you know my story. She tried to kill me when I was 12. Put my head through the wall. I was coming into my beauty. She was losing hers. She was a little jealous, I found out. That jealousy cuts off that love. She really did love me, but she lost it. She had a menopausal moment, not good. But you know what? I learned to forgive her. I learned to love her. I learned to see that she did the very best she could at that moment for the amount of light that she had at the time. And she did what she felt was right, proper, and justified. See, if we rationalize it, that's what we do. And when we have little light in our brains and our hearts, that's what we do. We justify. So she did the best she could for the amount of light she had. At that time, so much was going on in her life, she had a pinhole of light. She wasn't praying. She wasn't meditating. She didn't have the tools. She never saw a therapist. Her mother did stuff to her. She did the best she could. And I love her for that, because she did better than her mother. She couldn't tell me stories about what her mother did. Generational patterns. But why did I pick her? So I could come and I can heal. So I can be bright and say, thank you, God. I know I am not that. I know that I am loved, and I am lovable. And I am a child of the Most High, as you are, as you are. And you are worthy of the very best that love and life has to offer, no matter what happened to you. We chose these lessons in our life to wake up. To wake up to the depth of who we are, eternal beings, spiritual beings, not the roles. The work you get to do can be fun. There are fun things you can do. Because, you know, in my life I decided there's enough crying. I mean, I still cry. I still go into my pain. When I feel fear, I feel it. And I go, okay, what am I afraid of? And I sit in it. And if I don't do that, I run to the refrigerator and I eat cookies. And I slip and I do that. Yesterday I was doing that. I was eating little rice cracker cookies, okay? You know? Because I found that I had to do. I didn't have to. I got the opportunity to come and talk with you guys. I got scared. So what did I do? I drank pure cream. And ate these little cookies. And I thought, oh yeah, you know you're zoning out? Mm-hmm, I know I'm zoning out. I need this right now. It's not alcohol, tequila anymore. Okay, a little rice crackers and cream. But, you know, I fell off. I had to forgive myself. I didn't spend the hours that I wanted to do yesterday to prepare for today. So I surrendered. I said, okay, God, I don't know really what I'm going to say. But I know that if I stay connected to you, you're going to talk through me. And we'll find out what happens. So that's what I'm doing. I did forgive myself. And what that looked like was this. I forgive myself for judging myself, for forgetting what to do. And the truth is, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And I'm going to just surrender to God and allow God to do the work. And I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to say that again. If anybody wants to write this down, it's a very powerful tool. If you find yourself judging yourself for anything you did yesterday, a year ago, tomorrow, it's a powerful tool. I forgive myself. And you put your hand on your heart. I forgive myself for judging myself. Think about something right now. Think about something you might have done lately that, you know, you felt guilty about, resentful about. Something that, you know, you wish you didn't do. Or somebody, you know, you judge somebody. But mainly you judge yourself. I forgive myself for judging myself. For maybe buying into the idea that I'm not lovable. Or maybe for judging myself for getting angry and snapping out at that person. Or maybe it's for like cutting that person off on the road. Or maybe it's for not reaching out to my daughter or my son when they really needed me. And I carry that guilt. Or not being able to. Or being angry at my mother and father because what I perceived as them doing to me did me wrong. So I forgive myself for judging myself for, and then you put in what that is. And then you got to claim the truth. You got to reframe it. The truth is, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. Having a human experience. Doing the best I can. The amount of light and love that I had at that moment. Maybe I was in reactive mode. God, I've got to forgive myself all the time for all the things I constantly seem to do. You know? This road of waking up, it's quite a journey. And it's not for wusses. It's not for cowards. So each one of you here are powerful warriors, warriors of the heart, warriors of love. And I see who you are. And I wonder, do you see who you are? Do you see your brilliance? Your light? Your beauty? Your kindness, your compassion? Do you get who you really are? Because if you do, man, you will feel such joy, such freedom, such energy and vitality. And you're just going to be so full you just can't help but give it to others. Just comes so full that you have to come from the overflow. So, with loving ourselves and learning to love ourselves, it's a daily practice. But really, can you get your head, how many people can kind of get the idea or really get the idea? Let me know whether your hand goes up a little, meaning kind of, and really get it. That maybe you pick the people in your life, the husband, the mother, the father, the kids, whatever, to grow, to learn and grow. Really? Really? There's like so you're all taking responsibility for your life. And that doesn't make you wrong. And it doesn't make anybody wrong or victim. This is really cool. 99% of you said yes to this. You're taking responsibility for your life. You know how cool that is? I just celebrate. Give somebody a high five and go, you're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Yeah. You're amazing.
I know. This is true.
This is true. Yes. You are brilliant. You are beautiful. And when you take responsibility for your life, you're giving other people permission to do so. There's no victims, there's volunteers to learn to grow so you can be more love, more compassion. When your heart breaks, it breaks open. When your heart breaks, it breaks open. When you get cracked, God, I've been cracked. You ever heard of a crackpot? 7 concussions, that's a lot. People get a little offended when I don't remember them. Oh, please. I hate to keep saying this, but there's a theory. Well, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was married to one of my husbands, I hate saying that, but he was a wonderful teacher. And yeah, I bought a crystal. And I wasn't in integrity at this moment, but I bought it for myself because I really liked it. And it was the bolo tie days. We had the crystal bolo ties. So I come home, and I do a little story, and I lie. Out and out lie. And I said, because I'm like angry at him, like a lot. I'm trying to make peace. So this is giving a gift when you don't mean it, right? So I give him the crystal, and I say, here, I got this for you. I'm thinking about you when I got this. I almost threw it at him. He goes, oh, really? You got this for me? And the minute he took it, it cracked. It went, and I go, oh my God. Then I was a little insane at the moment. See? You cracked it. Your negative energy cracked it. A little projection there. I had a lot to learn, okay? Still do. So he said, you're crazy. You're crazy. Walked out. Yeah, he was probably right at that moment he was. So I'm meditating, I'm praying years later. And by the way, that crystal was before it got cracked. It was beautiful, clear, no cracks. But when it got cracked, it had a gorgeous rainbow in it. Right? So I'm meditating years later, and that crystal kind of talks to me in my meditation. And I said, Dale, you're cracked. I go, yeah. And you have a lot of cracks. And those who have cracks, even one crack or a lot of cracks, if you can contain yourself, which was my big job in my whole life, look at my hair, right? We're born with certain natures. If you can contain yourself, then you can shine a lot of rainbows in this world. So I want you to think about the cracks that you've had in your life, because I'm not the only crackpot here. I want you to honor those cracks, because that's what's going to let your light be more brilliant and more love flowing through you, because of the lessons that